Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Sons of Anarchy, Season 7, Episode 2, Toil and Till. I know that my review for last week's episode was bad. Don't even say it, I know it was bad, okay? Okay, here's why it was basically bad, guys. It was a really long episode, and I really liked last week's episode, but this episode for me flowed so much better. Last week's episode, there was a little too much going on. It was a little too long, in my opinion. It did not have to be as long as it was. It could have been cut down a little bit more. They weren't like boring scenes, but they were kind of slow and they weren't really going anywhere. However, a lot of those scenes I didn't think were going anywhere actually did go somewhere in this episode, and I really enjoyed that because I really liked this episode a lot more. I thought this episode just really flowed better, in my opinion. I was into it more, and just a really better episode, in my opinion. And we found out some pretty big things, in my opinion. We find out what Jax's plan is in this episode, what his actual, plan, what he plans on doing. We find out some other really big things, and let's get the episode, because overall I really enjoyed it. I was really into this episode tonight, and I really love this episode. Just a really great episode, in my opinion. I really like the way they start out the episode. I thought it was really bittersweet, definitely. Jax wakes up in his bed, and he rolls over to see the empty space beside him. And he has a little bit of, sunshine on him. He's kind of in a good mood because he started his plan, which you think at this point that's like all he's going to do. Which at that point, that's what I thought, killed the one guy, killed, Lin and everything. That's what he was going to do, was kill the Chinese man, and that's all he was going to do. That's what it seemed, at least. So, that's why I thought he was happy, because he just completed his plan, it seems. He gets up, walks into the kitchen, and he lights up a cigarette, so he's in a pretty good mood. Juice, meanwhile, is now in his house, and he sees Wayne tied up in the bathroom, because if you remember at the end of last week's episode, Wayne got tied up in the bathroom at the end of last week's episode. Well, yeah, he got tied up in the bathroom last week. So that's how last week's episode ended with him. And, yeah. So Gemma's also smoking a cigarette, and she takes a drink of coffee, and Nero is also there, and he says he's glad to be here. And Gemma admits that life would have been a whole lot simpler if he just refrained from buying that drink for her, and he agrees that it would be simpler. And I thought that was a cute scene, as much as I don't like Gemma, I do like Gemma and Nero together. They're cute together, and I like them. Okay, they're one of the lighthearted things about the show. There aren't many lighthearted things about the show, and that was one of them. That was one of the things I did like. So Wendy wakes up, and she's kind of mad at Gemma for smoking, and she's not kind of mad. She is mad at Gemma for smoking in the house around the kids, because, hello, secondhand smoke, Gemma. Like, seriously, have we not heard about secondhand smoke? So Wendy shows Gemma a letter for a school. Now, it turns out that Abel is eligible to go to pre-K. So Wendy tells Gemma that she should go check it out, but Gemma tells Wendy to go instead, and that she'll just write the check, and Wendy says she doesn't have a car to get there, and Nero says he's head up that way and would be happy to give her a lift. So, that's what he decides to do. So meanwhile, Tig and Ratboy are having a stakeout, and they're waiting to see whether or not some people are about to make a drop, and there's a very funny scene where they're having a stakeout, and basically they're hiding out and everything. They're waiting for someone to arrive, and to attract people, basically to not make themselves look suspicious, Tig makes it seem like Ratboy is giving him a blowjob. And I love this scene where Ratboy's like to Tig, "Are you hard or something?" That was hilarious, because that was their plan, and they weren't even, like, they're not even gay or anything, so I thought that was just hilarious, that scene. It was definitely probably the funniest scene in the episode, because Sons of Anarchy is a very dark show, and that scene was very funny, in my opinion. I thought it was very well done. I like that they put a little humor in there. Every good show needs to have humor, and Sons of Anarchy, when they need humor, they put it in the right time, in my opinion. I thought that was definitely really good. So, Juice then goes into the bathroom with a huge knife, and he then cuts Wayne's wrist ties and says he's free to go. But Wayne doesn't leave immediately, because he wants to have a chat with Juice. He can see that Juice, is definitely scared because obviously the Suns are after him. He knows this. He knows that the Suns are, well, the Suns are after him right now. That's not the thing they're mostly after. He knows, though, that they are still coming after him because, guys, I didn't understand this. I actually, because I didn't watch all of Season 6, but I looked it up and I finally understood what's going on here. Juice, if you guys remember, was told by the Suns that he, he basically betrayed them, and now they're after him, so he's kind of trying to get out of Charming. And Juice says he's not sure about anything, that he doesn't really have a plan, because Juice really isn't the smartest individual. He's not smart at all. I mean, think about it. He went to Wendy to, he thought that's what was safe, and obviously being with Wendy is not safe. She's not, it's not safe at all. And Wayne says, do you want my help? So when he said that, I'm like, what is Wayne really planning here? And I'll get to what he's planning in a second. So meanwhile, Tig and Ratboy, they see some action. Men are loading up a truck, and Tig gives Jax a call and relays the news. So Jax then meets with August, and this is a very important scene because August tells him about what's going down, and August asks about Tara. Any word on what happened yet? Because he wants to know, did you actually find Tara's killer? And August warns Jax about revenge and the dangers it can bring. And this is true, what he is saying, that if the kind of revenge that Jax is talking about could put him in serious, serious danger, if he gets in trouble with the law, it's not going to be good because he could go to, not only would he be in prison, but he would probably be killed for it because he is killing people. And Jax says something that I knew was bullshit because there's no way that Jax would actually do this. Jax says, all right, I'm going to, not do this as much. I'm going to wait to see who the official killer is, and then when I find out, I will, when I find out who it is, then I will continue, and I won't continue till then. So when Jax said that, I'm like, there is no way that he is going to live up to that. There's no way. This is Jax we're talking about. Jax is not a guy you're supposed to be rooting for right now. Jax is an anti-hero. He's an exact anti-hero. He is not a hero at all. He is pretty much a villain right now. A villain. I would say he's a villain because even though you're not supposed to be, he's the main character, I'm not rooting for him. I'm not. He's probably going to die this season, and if he does, he did it to himself. He did. So when Jax said that, I knew that was not going to happen, and just, that's just the way Jax is doing this. It's not going to happen, obviously. So then we see a guy in a hazmat. He rolls in an oil drum, opens a fortune cookie box to reveal a severed head. Now, I believe that severed head was the guy's head that they, the guy that they tortured last week. I believe they cut his head off. Don't quote me on that because as soon as they showed his head, they went right to the intro, so I didn't see it that long. But I believe that was the guy's head. I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, comment down below and tell me I'm wrong because I don't know if I'm right, but I think I'm correct with that. So then we see Wayne. Now, Wayne, if you remember, had that conversation with Patterson last week about how she wanted him to possibly reapply for a job as working for the police, and he said, "Oh no, I'm not about that really anymore. I've retired basically." And Wayne actually has decided to reconsider. So he goes to talk to the new the new person working at the police station, the new police officer, Jari, because if you remember, that one officer was shot. One officer was shot, so she's replacing him. And basically, he says that he's reconsidered helping out around there, and she's willing to have him on board. She says, all right, I want you to be here. And she offers him a very good position, definitely a very good position, which she thinks will benefit, would be very beneficial given the fact he knows a lot about, the town's bloody history. He knows a lot about, what's happened in Charming, and she thinks it's going to be a very good position for him. So she hands him a stack of paperwork, but before he leaves, he says that he wants to see all she's got regarding Tara's murder. And she questions his motives. However, he says that he merely wants to get caught up to speed, and Jari says that there's one Sons of Anarchy member who has not yet been questioned, and that, of course, is Juice. Now, Wayne, of course, again, he said, I want to help you, so he's covering up for Juice. He's saying that she shouldn't be worried, as he's something of a child, which is kind of true, because, again, Juice is not the smartest individual, but, at this point, Wayne's trying to cover up for him, even though he says that, though, it is true. Even though he's just trying to cover up for him, I would say that, yes, he is true when he says that he is basically just a child because, again, he's not really smart. So, I thought that was a good scene overall. I like that scene. And then we get a very sad scene. Definitely a very sad scene. I thought the scene was probably one of the saddest scenes of the episode. We see Gemma come home, and there was a babysitter, babysitting, Abel and that other baby. I don't remember the baby's name, but, that other baby that you guys know what I'm talking about, that other baby. Basically, what we find out is that, Abel has been questioning about Tara. He misses Tara. He wants to know what's happened to Tara. And it's just really sad because, again, Gemma only did this because she thought Tara was, betraying her, basically. That's what she thought. She thought Tara was betraying her, and that's why she did it, and it was all unintentional. I'm not condoning what she did. I'm not saying that. I'm not condoning what she did at all. There's nothing I'm condoning here. However, Gemma does have a point for doing it. She does have a point, and she's not really a bad person. She just made the wrong choice, definitely. She made the wrong choice. So, Abel is talking about how he misses Tara and everything, and he says, she's gone, he says, where has she gone to? And Gemma says, your mother was an angel. All angels go to heaven. And that was just such a sad scene. Definitely a very sad scene. So then we get a huge plan here. I thought this was such a great plan, basically. We see Jax. And at first he meets up with, what's the guy's name? Jerry, I think his name is. Jerry. Yeah, his name is Jerry. Jerry's talking to him, and he's telling him, look, you're going a little too far here. The kind of damage you're trying to get yourself into is not going to be good for the club. It's not a good idea at all. But Jax says he doesn't really have a vision anymore. And we find out what Jax's plan is here. And when we find out what Jax's plan is, I'm like, okay, this is going to get awesome. Because Jax's plan is very interesting, definitely a very interesting plan, and completely contradicts everything he said to August. As I said, everything he said to August was bullshit. There was no way he was gonna keep that, he was gonna keep that promise to him. He basically says that his plan is to not only kill, Lynn. Him killing that one guy is only the beginning of his plan. His plan is to destroy the company, destroy all of Lynn's company, and the man, and then, the first guy that Lynn says is his most respected individual, the person that he respects the most in their, with the Chinese, is the guy he's going to kill first. And then he's going to eventually kill Lynn. So, that's his plan. That is not a hero plan at all. So, this really shows that Jax really is changing. He's definitely more of a villain now, and his plan, it's a very good plan. Definitely a very well thought out plan, but he is no longer a hero character. He is no longer something you can call a heroic character. He's now a villain, and I think it's a really interesting plan, definitely. We'll talk more about what happens there in a second, but we then see Nero and Wendy, and they're in the care together, and they talk about their experience with drugs and addiction, and Nero drops off Wendy off at the school, but she asks that he come in with her. He gives in and says that he'll go check it out as long as she runs his errands with him afterwards, and we find out what they are a little bit later on. But Jax and his crew, they then are about to attack the Chinese people. Tig and Ratboy are, we're stalking. They go on the crew, basically, and one of the men gets away with the briefcase. Jax and Chips go after him in the truck. Eventually, Jax is driving, and Chips is shooting, runs the guy off the road. The man tries to escape, but fails. Jax opens the briefcase, only to find heroin inside. The man says his boss trades weapons for heroin, and Jax shoots him in the head. So at this point, I'm thinking, what is Jax's real plan here? Obviously, he doesn't want them to sell heroin anymore, so he has a new plan. So that was definitely very interesting what he did. I was very interested in seeing what was going to happen there, and that was just really awesome. So Wayne goes to visit Gemma in her office, and Gemma tells him that he looks like shit, and he says he didn't sleep much because he spent the entire night bound and gagged in a bathtub, obviously. Gemma jokes, about and everything, and, they're talking and everything. But eventually, Wayne tells her that he knows it must not have been easy for her to choose to put friendship above club rules, and she says it wasn't, that the decision didn't come easy to her, but before Wayne leaves, he offers his help and to let him know if there's anything he can do. A little while later, Gemma brings Wayne some tea in his trailer. He's sleeping, knocked out cold. She sets down the mug of tea on the table, notices Tara's murder file sitting there on the table as well. She opens it, but after seeing the gruesome photos, quickly shuts it, and she then discovers Wayne's new private investigator license. So she knows, oh shit, if I'm friends with Wayne, this is not going to end well at all. So Gemma really is in a very bad position right now because of the fact that, Wayne is now a police officer. He's now one of the private investigators, and he's investigating this murder. So if he finds out the truth, it's not going to end up well for her at all, obviously. So she knows that she's now working with someone who is definitely not, someone that could definitely be a threat to her. So Wendy and Nero, they're on their way back home, and they stop by Lynn's gang, and Nero's ordered to bring Jax to him immediately. Lynn wants to know what he's doing, because now we have this tension between Lynn and Jack, which Jax basically just started, and Gemma then returns to Juice, and again, she is obviously very, very worried about Wayne, what Wayne is going to do, what's going to happen with Wayne, and she gives Juice very explicit instructions. She tells him he needs to get the hell out of Dodge immediately. She gives him a burner phone, $4,300, and instructs him to go to her dad's house until they can figure out something more permanent. And Juice, he doesn't know what to do, basically. He really is he's in a problem, definitely. He, it's not really better than Wayne's right now. Basically, she pushes Juice out the door, tells him he needs to leave Charming, and basically he needs to leave. But of course, Juice really is not that smart, of course. He's not smart at all. So, obviously, Juice he's not smart. He's not a smart person. And I agree with what everyone says. He's probably the dumbest character on the show, because he's not smart at all. He really isn't, if you think about it. So, then what happens is Nero meets with Jax and his crew, because, Nero talks to them, basically. And Juice begins heading out of town. It looks like he's about to head out of town. And it's all done to a really nice montage. I'm loving that Sons of Anarchy does these montages. They had a really good song at the end of this episode that I really liked. I really liked the song in this episode. Really cool song. Henry arrives, goes off on Jax. Jax, however, plays coy, doesn't reveal that he was behind the attack. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's very clever, definitely. Even though Jack's not someone that you're really supposed to like, he's a very intelligent individual, definitely. So, Jax and his crew, they have a genius plan. They are going to plan the heroin into Hoodlum's house. They're going to plan the heroin there and basically destroy the company. That's what he wants to do. He wants to destroy the company. And, then Juice returns to his apartment in Charming because he couldn't leave his home. Again, he's just such a stupid individual. He's not smart at all. And, just not. He's not smart at all, and, he's not smart. He's not at all. Now, with Jax, this all seems to be going good, his plan. It seems to be going good for him. However, there's one problem. Because Jax goes ahead, finds the people who came after Lynn, pins the ambush on 2 of the hired guards who helped the Sons kill and steal from the Triad. He communicates to Lynn where he can expect to find the killers and his missing goods. But there's just one problem, and that is Jury. He was very close with one of the thugs, and I thought this was a really good twist. He shows up at the murder scene after everyone's left. He recognizes one of the murder weapons on the ground, and basically the question is he going to connect this to Jax? Because we don't know what he does after that. He just finds this murder weapon on the ground. The question is he going to, frame Jax for this? Is he going to say that, oh, I know that this was Jax that did it, and can he tell that Jax is a part of this? I don't know if he knows. We'll have to see. So the episode ends with an enraged Jury and a very melancholy Jax, and it really shows that bad blood is about to flow in the Sons themselves, assuming that Triad doesn't show up to the murder scene and get to Jury first, in which case, that'd be really bad, obviously. So the episode ends in a very sad way, definitely very sad way. Jax comes home to, Jax comes home to Gemma and his, sons, his actual sons, not his club, but his actual sons, You know, when I say sons, I don't mean Sons of Anarchy. I mean his actual sons, you know, Abel and I can't remember the name of his other son. I just can't remember the name of him. And basically what ends up happening is... Oh, one other thing happened also. One other thing happened, basically. Tig is very concerned they're running out of room to bury bodies in Chigger. Because if you remember, they're burying all the bodies in the woods. And they're running out of room. But Happy knows 1,000 places to bury bodies, so it seems to be all good there. But Jerry heads to the local Muscles house and finds the two of them dead. And basically, the episode ends with Jax comes to Gemma's, gives Wendy a polite goodnight. They talk, and he touches Thomas's face. That's his name. His name is Thomas. He crawls into bed with Abel. He sheds a single tear, and it's less about the people he just killed and more about what Tara would think of him now. So, his plan is really insane, and Jax is really going on the path of insanity at this point. He really is going on the path of insanity, if you think about it. And the thing is, Jax is really destroying himself. If anything bad happens to Jax, again, he really did it to himself. He did. I hate to say this, Jax, but you did it to yourself. You really did it to yourself. And, that's Jax's plan, basically. That's what he wants to do. And, I thought that was definitely very interesting, the way the episode ended. I thought it was going to be very interesting, definitely. Especially the fact that is Jury going to frame Jax for this? Is that going to happen? You know, why wouldn't he have told Jax so? You know, that's the question. He knows that Sam Crow did this, and considering the way he's sobbing, obviously this boy was special to him. So, is he going to confess this to Jax? It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. And I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen there. You know, he heard Jax say that Lynn couldn't find out the truth, and he should have guessed what Jax is capable of, but he probably didn't just think about it. I don't know. Jerry didn't think about it for whatever reason. He just didn't. Juice is a stupid individual. He just returned back to his apartment, and it seems like Juice is just going to continue to be stupid. Juice is obviously going to die. There's no way that Juice is going to live through this. He's obviously going to die. He's just making stupid decision after stupid decision. Gemma, I actually felt bad for. Again, you can see a lot of remorse from Gemma. Jax does not have any remorse at this point. Gemma actually does have some sort of remorse, in my opinion. Because the thing with Gemma is just... Gemma really felt bad when Abel was asking about Tara, and that really got to her. You know, she was the reason that Juice, you know, she was the reason that... Well, she's actually not the reason. She now knows that Wayne is part of the police, and that's obviously not a good thing for her. So... she's, you know, got Juice out of there because that gets rid of some of the evidence. So, the question is Wayne going to find out the truth? I'm hoping he does, because that's when the show is going to get really awesome if he does. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens if he does find out the truth, because that's going to be really awesome, in my opinion. And, basically, it's going to definitely get very interesting. I'm really looking forward to the next episode. And overall, I was really into this episode. I really did enjoy it. Thought it was definitely a very good episode. And I was really into it. Again, sorry guys, this was a bad review, but I did the best I could. Also, Nero and Wendy, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there as well. You know, it seems that with Nero that he's pretty much in the middle right now, you know, because Jax claims he has the Indian Hills Charter digging in, and Lynn gives him a deadline of noon the next day to find his men, guns, and heroin, and if Jax doesn't, the violence won't stop. So, Jax now has a tension between Lynn and Jax, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens there. Nero, I don't know what's going to happen to Nero. You know, Nero doesn't believe that Jax is capable of doing something like this. So, is Nero going to find out what Jax is really capable of? No one really suspects Jax is capable of this. Again, his plan is genius, but it's insane as well. It's completely insane. And he's lost everything, so it makes sense why he's doing this, why he's becoming such an evil person, because he's lost everything. It makes perfect sense why. But overall, I love this episode. Thought it flowed a lot better than the first one. First episode was good, but this episode just flowed a lot better. You know, the tone was there. Everything felt better in this episode. It was easier to understand what was going on in this episode. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for the season finale of Finding Carter. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.